Hello, everybody. It is 9:48 a.m. Central Time on the 10th of February, 2021. Hope you're doing well. It's Wednesday here in the United States, and I have an update for you. We had a super massive, very large earthquake over here in the West Pacific, 7.7 magnitude. And it's several hours old now, struck last night going into this morning, or at least in the past several hours. And additionally, on top of this 7.7 earthquake that struck right next to the island of New Caledonia, here is New Caledonia, and this quake was immediately preceded, or right before that quake, about an hour before, 6.2. So 7.7, 6.2, thousands of miles apart from Indonesia over into New Caledonia. I'm going to get the stats on this 7.7, since this is the biggest quake to strike on the planet in months after months of time here. Southeast of the Loyalty Islands is the location they have it listed at. We're going to turn on the tectonic plate boundary map, which is going to show us a bunch of thick red lines across the planet here, boundaries between the plates. And that's where the earthquake is, right on the plate boundary. Here is Fiji as a point of reference, the pinnacle tip of the plate bend going down to New Zealand and over to the west into Solomon Islands. And notice where it is in relation to all of our other deep earthquakes that have happened over the past several weeks. Over here just on the east side, or right next to the 7.7, raised high off the globe. And there's so many earthquakes on here, it's kind of slowing down Earthquake 3D right now. We got about 2,300 to 2,400 different earthquakes on the planet right now. But deep earthquakes here, raised high off the globe. Next to it, a 7.7, spreading out and away. Again, right before the 7.7 hit, a 6.2 struck all the way over here on the plate boundary in Indonesia. And that's right on the red line over at the western tip of Sumatra. So 7.7 is nothing to scoff at, but the good news on this is it's in the middle of nowhere. And there are populated centers nearby, but they're not exactly huge. Let's go click on the tsunami warnings for this. There was a tsunami threat issued on this quake, but it's a localized threat. So let's just click on the tsunami threat info and go into Vanuatu. Zoom to Vanuatu there. And here's the info. Let's try and get, I guess, the nearest American Samoa warning, watch, and advisory. Okay, tsunami wave observations from coastal and or deep ocean sea level gauges at the indicated locations. The maximum tsunami height is measured with respect to the tide level, and they don't have it very large. They don't have an extremely large tsunami of any kind. Let's see what they do have. Be observant. You need to watch out for it. There's a possibility of that, but that was, again, several updates ago. Let's go back over and see what else they've got. So let's go to the Guam statement. These are info statements, and the difference between an info statement and a warning is a big difference. The warning is it's imminent. There's some kind of wave that's been generated. An info statement is just something letting people know that this is going on. But the threat message, there's no threat, basically. Oh, hold on one second. Come on, Wednesday. Let's just go ahead and get on out of here right now. We got a big update going on, and I'm going to have to shut the door. So. The cat, guys. Sorry, the cat. She hears talking. She can tell my voice is a little bit more serious than normal. She starts meowing and going crazy. But again, the warnings are different. Again, if we have a bunch of warnings, that means there's a big wave. But info statements around the region, small warnings, yes. Large tsunami, no. And that's the good news. So no large tsunami. A 7.7 is borderline on whether it can cause a tsunami. I would say the threshold I have on things is if it's above an 8, I really start to look for a major tsunami. If it's below an 8, it's iffy. And if it's below a certain threshold in the 7 level, the chances of a tsunami are pretty small. Now, again, there can be underwater landslides that can displace a good amount of fluid or water in the ocean or in a body of water. Okay, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the big shifts of the continental crusts, the plate boundaries, that red line that I showed you. That when we see those shift, we can see them shift up or down, and when that happens, then you can get a big tsunami. So imagine one side of the plate over here, let's just say the north side of here, shifts up by 20 feet. Well, when that happens and it pushes up, the whole ocean goes up along with that 20 feet, and then you get a push of a wave out 20 feet high, and that's your tsunami. That did not happen today. That's the good news. But this is big-time activity overall, seismically speaking, and we're not even done yet. This is the third 7 in the past few weeks. Let's turn on the last 30 days. Last 30 days, 4.5 and greater from the USGS. And I'm just going to show you the 7s because we have gone from next to nothing with 7s. We went months without any 7s. And then all of a sudden, within the past few weeks, we have 3 different 7.0 range earthquakes, 7.0, 7.1, and now a 7.7. So here's 30 days. Let's get all the smaller earthquakes out of there. Here's our 7s. Check it out. Well, hold on. I stand corrected. Hold on. Okay, this was a 7.1. They took it down to a 6.9. This was a 6.9, 7.0. They took down to a 6.4. And this was a 7.0, 6.9, that they took down to a 6.7. So, do you notice the spacing on that, by the way? The equal spacing going from here to here, down to here. They're about the same distance apart, almost. Again, they took these 3 different 7s, or 3 different 6.9s, and downgraded each one. And this one was a 7.1 that they took down to a 6.9. Isn't that a joke? So 1, 2, 3 7s here. 4, 5, 6 7s here. Oh, and they did this one as well the same way. It was a 6.9 to 7.0. They took it down to a 6.7. As a matter of fact, these struck on opposite sides of the planet from each other, these two 6.9s, just a couple days apart. Again, first this one, 6.7. That was on 1/11, January 11th. And this one was on, this one was on the 19th. So 11th, 19th, 21st, 23rd. It's pretty obvious we're going through some major seismic unrest, and they're doing some stupid downgrading to get each earthquake below 7.0. So that when we look back, 5 years from now, somebody will look back and be like, I wonder how many 7.0s there were in the month of 2021, first month. And they'll come and look and they'll see 2. And they'll be like, oh, it was 2. And really it was 5 or 6. But because of the stupid downgrading they're doing to hide the large earthquakes, that's leading to a misreporting of the numbers of quakes. Big earthquakes. Imagine if I did it that way. Imagine if 7.0s were striking and I had said previously, oh, there's not going to be many 7s. And then I start coming in and recalculating. I'm like, see, that's not really a 7, guys. See, this is a 6.9. And then I do it to another one, and I'm like, yeah, that's not a 7.0 either. That's a 6.7. And see, I wasn't wrong. Imagine if I did it. What would everybody say? Well, that's what they're doing. Straight up. So 30 days worth of earthquake shows it. Multiple 7.0 earthquakes striking across the planet after a good dry spell without any. So we go months without any, and then we're back to at least 3 in the past couple of weeks. And you could say 6 in the last month. That's a definite increase in the number of 7.0 range earthquakes. Whether they downgrade them to 6.7 or 6.9 is irrelevant. So, back to the whole scoop on this. Large earthquake striking down in Southwest Pacific. And we're still waiting for other activity to take place over in the Southeast Pacific. Separate forecast entirely. This gets me back to the rest of the planet, which is going into overdrive. We're seeing spreads of quakes. For instance, let me give you an example over here in Europe. Look, Germany, France, even Scotland got hit a day ago. You don't see it on this feed, but it did. So Scotland's moving. Going across, Central Europe's moving, Central Africa's moving. Our 7.0 activity lets us know something's going on. The deep earthquakes are hammering off on the underside of the plate. And I haven't even talked about the spread that's taking place going across the Pacific, heading over towards South America, which we get back to the start of this week. And we had an earthquake coming across this way. By the way, what happened to that quake? The 6 point whatever that was out here. I know it hasn't been more than 7 days. What happened to the 6 point something quake out here in the Pacific next to Easter Island? That's the other question. Maybe it is over 6 or 7 days old. But out there near 7.0, we would expect South America to also get hit with 7.0 range activity. And we're now getting right to the end of the warning time, and it has not taken place yet. I've got several warnings going for the United States. We've got warnings going for the South American continent, right where it meets into Central America here. We also have warnings going in South Chile, all three of which have not taken place. Meanwhile, the West Pacific is going into overdrive. I haven't talked about Alaska or the United States yet, but we're shifting in the United States big time up here in the Pacific Northwest. Thousands of tremors happening in the past few days across Washington, Oregon, Vancouver Island. We had a new 4.6 earthquake out off the coast, or 4-point-something earthquake that they downgraded to 3.6, which is very odd. Texas was hit by a 4.0 earthquake. Look at that. See that? That's at the pumping operations on the edge of the craton in Texas. Even the East Coast moving all the way up the East Coast. Virginia, North Carolina border region going up all the way into New England, right at the border with New York and Quebec. It's a lot of activity to talk about, but we're all concerned with this big one, a 7.7 near 8.0. We're not done yet. When you get something like this, usually there's a back and forth across the Pacific. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if we started to see our middle areas get hit, these open silent zones where there's no earthquakes spread across thousands of miles on the plate boundaries. I would start watching the middle points for each spot because, look, if we're going to get a 7.7 due south of here, just go straight south, and that's where our 7 is, all the way on the other side. I would watch at Kamchatka. I would watch over at the western tip of Sumatra, Indonesia. By the way, this is a forecast hit as well, although I was looking right in here. I was looking right in here, and instead it hit at the south tip of Sumatra. But I'll consider that a forecast hit. Again, it's been weeks and weeks since they've had anything significant there. But a big spread is taking place. That's what I'm getting at here, and we're going to see some other activity that should be in the 7-ish range. 1.7 is not enough. We're going to see the opposite sides of the plates from where the 7s are start to compensate, which means a whole magnitude higher than where we are now. And if we're going a whole magnitude higher, I would expect something into that, again, that upper 6 to low 7 range. We can determine our areas as the middle points between our current sets of earthquakes, and if we have two clusters of earthquakes, for instance, right here, we would look right in between our two sets of quakes. Same with up to the north. We've got all this going on. We look between our current sets of quakes. There's 1, 2, 3 spots that are all going to be hit here where the rings overlap. Central Peru, northern Chile, central Chile. All three are going to get hit, and it should be significant. The biggest of the bunch should strike, like I said last time, on the south side. But on the north side, we're definitely still floating around with 6.0 range. Once we get to the north, we get up to here, right at the border of Ecuador and Colombia. That's where our other warning's still going. Now, I'm not going to cancel the warning, leaving it going for another 2 days, but the warning is for upper 6 level there as well. So it's like going to be 3 different earthquakes, most likely. West Pacific, look, there's going to be 3 different earthquakes on this side too. So one side's going to have 3, and the other side, that's 6 different big earthquakes in the next several days that are due. And we look between our sets of quakes here, that's at Papua New Guinea. We look at between our sets of quakes here, right in central Indonesia, and between our sets of quakes over here at Java, Indonesia. 1, 2, 3. So that's 6 different significant earthquakes in the next few days, and that's just surrounding these spots. Again, one side of the Pacific and the other side of the Pacific. It's in big time motion. Now, you could even look for more, which go throughout the week, that go up to Japan and go up to Kamchatka, like I said, all the way up here to the north. Actually, that's 7 then. Let's just keep adding them in. Look, we got 3 on one side, we have 3 on the other, we have 1 to the north. That's 7 different locations where we're going to have significant sized earthquake activity in the next few days. I hope I'm wrong. Hope I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll be back on either way, but right now, look, the spread is taking place. I'm going to save this as a short video. I haven't done any videos on YouTube in a week. I'm laying low on purpose. I've been sent the message telling me to lay low. And if I don't, my whole operation's at risk. So only getting on when there's significant activity going on. I'm being monitored and watched by forces and groups that just absolutely despise me. They're allowing me to exist, but barely. 10:03 a.m. Central Time on the 10th of February, 2021. It's officially the future. It's Wednesday here in the United States, too, to top it all off. We'll be back if anything else goes down. Word up, much love, peace out.